Welcome back to another Post Media panel. I'm Bruce GARRIOCH, pleased to be joined by broadcaster David Feherty. And David, you'll be in town on June 6th for the David Feherty Classic at the Royal Ottawa Golf Club and raising money for the Royal Ottawa Health Foundation. I think you're looking forward to that event. You've got some pretty good guests on hand, don't you?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I've never seen the Royal Ottawa Golf Club. I'm looking forward to that. And we've got Ben Roethlisberger, Pat Perez, who's one of the great characters on tour, Emmett Smith, and Daniel Alfredson, whom I'm looking forward to meeting as well.
Well, and Daniel, of course, is a member at the Royal Ottawa. And, of course, the Royal Ottawa is also the home course of former Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. So it's one of the great courses in town. It's hosted the CN Women's Open. It's got small greens. It's a challenging outlet. But I think what most foremost, you're here to have fun. And I think you're going to have some fun with the guys that day, aren't you?
Yeah, and I plan to be, I'll be the commentator. It's a 9-hole skins game, benefiting the hospital, of course. And, then there'll be 45 minutes of stand-up. I'll do that. And then an interview with the 4 players, so they can expect some savage commentary from me on their golf games.
Now, you have obviously played in some events like this. Can I ask you what the most embarrassing shot you ever hit with a crowd around was?
The most embarrassing shot I ever hit was with Ballesteros in the south of France. And I had the honor, it was the first time that I'd played with him. It was in the early 80s. And I hit a clean shank off the second tee with a 4-iron, which hit a French person right in the Twins bullpen, I think we could call it. So, that was about as embarrassing as it gets.
Not everybody can play in front of a crowd, can they, David? Like, it can be tough, can't it?
Sure. And one of the interesting things, Bruce, is... when you get a superb athletes like Emmett Smith and Ben Roethlisberger, and Daniel Alfredson, when you take them outside of their own arena, if you like, and put them in golf, which is an unfamiliar sport for them, to see how they react to that situation, it's an interesting human experiment.
Because these guys, that's right, David, like the pressure is all on them, right? These guys are used to being involved in team sport, aren't they? And all of a sudden, golf is the ultimate in one-on-one. It's you against yourself, isn't it? That's why they say it's such an equalizer.
Well, that's right. it's the 5.5 inches between your ears. But these guys are pretty good players. I believe Daniel plays pretty well, and Emmett plays very well. I haven't seen Ben play, but he hits it about 350. We've heard, but we're not sure which direction.
So you're telling people to watch out for the other fairways, are you?
Well, exactly. Yeah, and the crowd will be very close. At this event, there's only 1,500 spectators, so they'll get a good view, and it'll be live mic'd, so speakers on cards, so everyone will be able to hear the banter between us. You obviously are raising money though for something that's very near and dear to your heart, and that's mental health. And one of the things you've been very open about is your own struggles with your mental health, haven't you? Yes. Well, people confuse sadness with depression. It's a very common mistake. Sadness is just sadness. Depression is sadness minus hope. And you can live with a lot of things, Bruce. You can live without money, you can live without love, but you can't live without hope. And it's really important, I think, for people in the public eye, like Daniel, who I know has been very vocal in his support of mental health issues. We've got to remove the stigma and raise awareness for this, because there's so much of it around. And I don't know what it's like north of the border there, but we're facing a tsunami of mental health issues with our very small children because of the mask mandate. Yeah. We've had masks on 3, 4, 5-year-old children in school. You can't see facial expressions. You don't know how to express yourself. It's going to be more and more important as we go on.
And you feel it's important, David, to be a leader in that field?
Yeah, I think when someone like myself or Daniel or Ben or Emmett, stands up and say, hey, this is how I feel, it makes people, a little more open to maybe admitting that that's the way they feel themselves. I think it's extremely important that people in the public eye are open about it. And it's therapeutic too. It's therapeutic for me, the thought that I might be helping somebody else.
How much has your sense of humor helped you to deal with everything going on in your life?
Oh, it's vital. People talk about a sixth sense. I think that's your sense of humor, and we are in danger here in America of losing our national sense of humor. We're being, cornered by some of the most unfunny people on the planet right now. That refuse to find themselves funny. And you have to find yourself funny, poke fun at yourself if you're going to qualify to do it at anybody else, I think.
And one of the things I think you do enjoy is telling stories, and you have had I would say a front row seat to Tiger Woods throughout his career. Can you just tell us a funny story about Tiger Woods that maybe nobody would know?
Well, funnily enough, the time that I did do this, the exhibition match, I played with Tiger and Curtis and Justin Leonard. He slipped some X-Lax into my cereal that morning, and let's just say it didn't turn out well. Right around the 11th hole.
Are you kidding?
I had a full code brown.
Now, people wouldn't see that side of Tiger, though, would they, David?
No.
He doesn't strike you as that kind of guy, right? You see.
Well, but he is Bruce, and social media, I think, is responsible for really taking some of the character out of the game. You can't even give yourself a hard time without fear of being cancelled these days. It's there's a microphone and a camera everywhere. So, they've got to be pretty careful, but they won't be so careful, at Royal Ottawa. I can assure you of that.
And you talk about Tiger. Do you think we will get to see Tiger in the next few years, David, win another major based on what he's had to go through in the last, couple of years?
Yes, I do. I think he'll win, and I think he'll win golf tournaments. Phil just won a PGA championship at 50. Tiger is looking at that and thinking, "Hey, I'm better than him, and I'm in better shape." It's remarkable the comeback that he's made from that injury. If you've seen the X-rays and the hardware that was put in and then taken out and then put back in, it's amazing that he's come back the way that he has. I fully expect him to win again.
And you mentioned briefly Phil, and you want to talk about a guy who, he as we speak right now, David, he's basically sidelined from the PGA Tour for some public comments that he made. How did you feel about his opinion and the other tour?
Well, that's going to be a really interesting situation, how it plays out. I think, if there's enough money around eventually, and I'm not sure how the PGA Tour is, standing from a legal standpoint, because they're a 501c3, they're a non-profit organization, and they rely on independent contractors. So I don't know if you're a non-profit, and I'm not sure if you can tell an independent contractor where or not he can't play.
I mean, you as someone who, you play golf around the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you understand as well as anybody does that there has to be other opportunity out there, doesn't there, David?
Oh, yeah. Competition has always been good. It forces the other side, to improve. Having said that, I'm not sure how the PGA Tour can improve. I mean, they do an amazing job. I think it's up to the others to get up to that standard and maybe pass it.
Is Phil the kind of guy who can come back from this? I just watch him publicly. What do you think? I've watched your one-on-ones with him on the Golf Channel. He seems like a genuine person. What are your thoughts on him?
Yes, he's a different cat. There's no question about that. Recently he only opens his mouth to change feet, but we'll see how that goes on. I would expect him to be back. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, David, you look at what's going to happen here, and the day at the Royal Ottawa. You're also going to stick around and do a comedy show after, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. I've been doing it with my promoter, who's a Canadian. He was Brad Jones from Jones Entertainment Group. Yeah. Watched me do a speaking engagement in London, Ontario, about 7 or 8 years ago, and he was the one responsible. He promotes Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Dunham and various other comedians. He said he suggested that I should give it a try, and it's been going for 8 years now. So, he's been amazing, and it started in Canada, in Calgary and Edmonton, and I'm looking forward to getting back there.
You told us the worst shot you ever hit. What's the best shot you ever hit?
Oh, the best shot I ever hit was I captained the Irish side in the Dunhill Cup in 1990, which was then the World Three-Man Team Championship. Yeah. And I hit a 4-iron into the 17th hole, the famous road hole at St. Andrews. But we were playing the English in the final. And, of course, everybody knows, if you've seen Braveheart, that as soon as the Scottish get beaten, everybody becomes Irish. And I had so much support that the crowd in the stands behind the green, the ball almost went over the back edge, but I think they all blew, and it trickled back down the slope to about a foot from the hole, and we won the championship for Ireland right there. So that was probably my highlight.
Well, we're looking forward to a lot of highlights at the Royal Ottawa Golf Club on June 6th when David Feherty in the Feherty Classic with Emmett Smith, former PGA Tour player Pat Perez, Daniel Alfredson, and Ben Roethlisberger, the Pittsburgh Steelers, join us here in Ottawa. For Post Media in Ottawa, thanks very much to David Feherty for his time today, and we look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you, guys.